3 days after accepting Alex's partnership, Maya received her first assignment. A mining colony on the edge of known space had gone silent. The last transmission mentioned strange creatures attacking the workers and stealing their equipment. Maya stood in the weapon room of Alex's station selecting gear for the mission. Her dragons watched as she chose plasma rifles, energy blades, and tracking devices. Ember, the red dragon, spoke to her mind through their telepathic bond. The metal man seems worried about this place. Storm, the blue dragon, added his own thoughts. Something feels wrong about those creatures. Alex's holographic form materialized beside them, holding data tablets in his projected hands. Maya, the colonists, sent video before their communication stopped. The creatures appear to be using advanced technology, but their behavior patterns suggest they are not fully intelligent. Maya examined the footage on the tablet. Strange beings with gray skin and large black eyes moved through the mining facilities. They carried energy weapons but used them clumsily, like children playing with adult tools. Their movements seemed random yet purposeful. These look like the Vex species, she said, recognizing the aliens from old bounty records. They were wiped out 50 years ago in the Outer Rim Wars. That is what makes this situation concerning. Alex replied. The Vex homeworld was destroyed, and no survivors were documented. Yet here, they appear with technology more advanced than anything they possessed before Maya strapped weapons to her combat suit while her dragons prepared for flight. Ember could breathe fire hot enough to melt steel, while Storm generated electrical charges that could disable most electronic systems. Together, they made a formidable team. The journey to the mining colony took 6 hours through hyperspace. Maya used the time to study the colonist files. 30 families lived on the planet. Mining rare crystals used in faster-than-light engines, they were peaceful people who had never reported any conflicts. When they arrived at the colony planet, Maya saw the damage immediately. Buildings stood empty with doors hanging open. Mining equipment lay scattered across the ground as if abandoned in haste, yet there were no bodies or signs of violence. She landed her small ship near the main settlement and stepped out with her dragons. The air smelled of ozone and something else she could not identify. Ember snorted, and smoke curled from her nostrils. Death, scent but old death, not fresh. Storm projected images of decay and abandonment. Maya activated her communication device. Alex, can you scan for life signs from orbit? Negative on human life signs. Alex's voice came through clearly. However, I am detecting unusual energy patterns from the mining tunnels approximately 2 kilometers north of your position. Maya and her dragons moved toward the tunnel, staying alert for any movement. The settlement remained eerily quiet, with personal belongings still scattered in homes as if people had simply vanished mid-activity. At the tunnel entrance, Maya found the first clue. Deep scratches marked the metal walls made by claws or tools. The scratches formed patterns that looked almost like writing, but in no language she recognized. Ember examined the marks closely, then shared her findings with Maya. These marks are fresh, maybe hours old. Whatever made them is still here. Maya drew her energy blade and activated its power cell. The weapon hummed with deadly force while her dragons took positions on either side of the tunnel entrance. Storm electrical abilities could provide light in the darkness ahead. As they descended into the mining tunnels, Maya noticed the temperature dropping. Her breath formed small clouds in the cold air. The tunnel walls showed more of the strange scratch patterns leading deeper underground. 20 minutes into the tunnel system, they heard sounds ahead, mechanical noises mixed with what sounded like voices speaking. In an unknown language, Maya signaled her dragons to move quietly as they approached the source. Around a bend in the tunnel, they found an incredible sight. Dozens of the gray-skinned creatures worked at mining equipment, but the machines had been modified with technology Maya did not recognize. The creatures moved with more purpose than the video footage had shown. One of the beings noticed Maya and let out a sharp cry that echoed through the tunnels. Immediately, the others stopped working and turned toward the intruders. Their large black eyes reflected the light from Storm electrical glow. Maya raised her energy blade as the creatures began advancing. The first one carried a weapon that looked like it belonged on a starship, not in the hands of a ground soldier. Wait, Maya called out in the universal trade language. Do you understand me? Why are you here? The lead creature tilted its head, then responded in broken but understandable words. We take what we need to survive. Your people left these things behind. They think the colonists abandoned the equipment. Maya realized the creatures were not attacking but scavenging what they believed was left behind. Where are the people who lived here? She asked. Gone, the creature replied. They went to the bright lights in the sky many days ago. We thought they would not return. LX voice came through. Maya communication device. Maya, I am detecting a massive energy signature approaching the planet. It appears to be a rescue fleet sent to evacuate the colonists. Maya understood now. The colonists had been evacuated due to some threat and these creatures had moved in afterward. But why had Alex not known about the evacuation? And what was the real threat that had forced people to leave their homes? The truth about the mining colony was more complex than anyone had realized. Maya lowered her weapon as the gray-skinned creatures watched her nervously. The leader stepped forward holding his modified mining tool like a peace offering rather than a threat. My name is Keth, he said in the broken universal language. My people are the last of the Vex. We have been hiding in deep space since our world burned. Alex's voice crackled through Maya communication device. This contradicts all official records. The Vex extinction was confirmed by multiple sources. Keth heard Alex's words through Maya's speaker and his large black eyes widened in fear. Metal voice speaks lies, he said urgently. Your empire told everyone we died but some escaped. We have been running and hiding for 50 years. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. She had seen this pattern before in her work as an assassin. When governments wanted to hide their crimes, they declared entire species extinct. Official records could be altered, but survivors sometimes remained. Show me your ship, she commanded. Keth nodded and gestured for his people to follow. They traveled deeper into the mining tunnels until they reached a hidden chamber. The Vex had concealed their vessel behind false walls and energy shields. Maya saw immediately that their ship was old, and damaged patches covered hull breaches and the engines looked barely functional. Ember examined the ship with her keen dragon senses, then shared her findings with Maya. This vessel has been repaired many times with whatever materials they could find. They are not conquerors, but refugees. Storm added his own observations. The energy signatures match old Vex technology, but modified with parts from dozens of different civilizations. They have been scavenging to survive. Maya walked around the ship noting the careful repairs and makeshift solutions. These people had spent decades running and hiding, using whatever they could find to keep their ship operational. How many of you are there? She asked. Keth 47 adults and 20 children. He replied, We are all that remain of 10 billion souls. LX voice came through the communicator again. Maya, my deep space sensors show 3 military vessels approaching the system. They carry the insignia of the Terran Defense Force. Maya recognized. The name the Terran Defense Force had been responsible for the original war that supposedly wiped out the Vex species. If they were coming here, it meant someone had detected the survivors. You have to leave now. Maya told Keth. The people who destroyed your world are coming. Keth's face showed despair. Our engines cannot make another jump. We used the last of our fuel getting here. We hope to find supplies, and maybe a safe place to rest. Maya made a decision that would change everything. Alex, can your ship carry additional passengers? My vessel can accommodate the Vex survivors. Alex replied, but doing so would make us accessories to harboring refugees from a military action. That military action was genocide, Maya said firmly. These people have done nothing wrong except survive. The Terran Defense Force ships were still hours away, but Maya knew they had to move quickly. She helped the Vex pack their few belongings while her dragons scouted for any useful supplies in the abandoned mining equipment. Storm found containers of refined crystals that could power the Vex ship for short distances, while Ember located medical supplies and food rations left behind by the evacuated colonists as they loaded supplies onto Alex's ship. Keith approached Maya with something in his hands. It was a small device covered in the same scratch patterns they had seen on the tunnel walls. This records our true history, he said, giving the device to Maya. Your metal friend should know what really happened in the war. Alex scanned the device and began translating the information stored within it. What Maya learned made her angry enough that Ember responded to her emotions by breathing small puffs of flame. The Vex had not been aggressors in the war they had discovered, something that threatened powerful interest in the galaxy. Their homeworld possessed unique crystals that could power faster than light travel, without the expensive fuel normally required, when the Vex refused to sell mining rights exclusively. To Terran corporations, the military manufactured evidence of Vex aggression. The war that followed was not about defense, but about resource control. Maya had seen this pattern many times in her work as an assassin. Corporations used military force to eliminate competition, then rewrote history to justify their actions. The Vex genocide had been motivated by greed, not security. Alex processed this information quickly. Maya, the approaching Terran vessels are not here to rescue colonists. They are hunting the Vex survivors. Someone detected their energy signature. Maya helped the last Vex family board Alex's ship while her dragons took defensive positions. The children looked frightened, but their parents tried to appear brave for their sake. Need a plan, Maya said as Alex's ship prepared for departure. The Terran forces will follow us wherever we go. I have an idea, Alex replied, but it requires trusting me completely. Maya looked at the Vex refugees huddled in the cargo bay and made her choice. She had spent her life fighting for justice even when it meant standing against authority. I trust you, she told Alex. Now show me how we save these people. Alex's ship launched from the mining planet just as the Terran Defense Force vessels entered. The outer system Maya watched the tactical displays as the military ships changed course to intercept them. The real battle was about to begin. Alex's ship accelerated away from the mining planet as the 3 Terran Defense Force vessels closed in. Maya strapped herself into the command chair, while her dragons secured themselves nearby. The Vex refugees huddled in the cargo bay, uncertain of their fate. The lead Terran ship opened communications, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Commander Kate Reynolds of the TDF vessel Aurora. Return the Vex specimens immediately, or face military action specimens. Maya felt her anger rise at the dehumanizing language they are calling living beings, specimens like laboratory animals. Alex's voice filled the bridge. Maya, I am implementing my plan now. Please trust me. Even if my actions seem to contradict logic, the ship suddenly changed course, heading directly toward the Terran vessels instead of away from them. Maya gripped her chair as acceleration forces pushed against her body. What are you doing? She demanded. Something the Terran forces will not expect. Alex replied, I am broadcasting a full tactical analysis of their ships to every military database in this sector. Maya watched as Alex transmitted detailed scans showing the Terran vessels, weapon configurations, shield frequencies, and crew manifests. The information flooded through, communication networks reaching dozens of worlds simultaneously. You are exposing their tactical secrets, she realized. More than that. Alex confirmed, I am also broadcasting the true history of the Vex genocide along with current video of their survivors. The galaxy will know the truth within minutes. The Terran ships found themselves in an impossible position. They could not attack without confirming Alex's accusations in front of witnesses across multiple star systems. News networks were already picking up the story. Commander Reynolds' voice crackled with frustration. You are interfering with classified military operations. Stand down immediately. Alex responded with calm authority. Commander, your operations ceased to be classified the moment you decided to hunt refugees. The galactic community has a right to know about attempted genocide. Maya felt proud of her AI partner choice. He had turned the situation from a chase into a public trial. Ember and Storm sensed her approval and relaxed their defensive postures, but the Terran forces were not ready to give up. The second ship, Captain Lisa Morgan, began charging weapons despite the public attention. Maya recognized the signs of someone desperate enough to risk everything. Alex, the middle ship, is preparing to fire. Maya warned. I am aware, Alex replied. Initiating evasive maneuvers. The ship twisted through space as energy beams blazed past their hull. Maya felt the artificial gravity system strain to compensate for the violent movements her dragons spread, their wings for balance as the ship rolled and dove. In the cargo bay, the Vex refugees cried out in fear. Keth's voice came through the intercom. "Please tell us what is happening." Maya activated the cargo bay communications. "We are fighting for your freedom, Keth. The galaxy is learning your true story." The third Terran ship, commanded by Captain Amanda Foster, tried a different approach. She launched fighter craft that spread out to surround Alex's vessel. The small ships were faster and harder to track. Then the main vessel's Alex began taking damage, as fighter weapons found their mark. Hull breaches appeared on the tactical display, and emergency systems activated throughout the ship. Maya unbuckled from her chair and headed for the weapon controls. "If they want to fight, we will give them one." Her dragons followed as she activated the ship's defensive systems. Ember breath could melt incoming missiles, while storm electrical attacks could disable fighter electronics. Maya opened the cargo bay to space in a controlled decompression that allowed her dragons to launch into combat. Both creatures wore spacesuits designed for their anatomy and could survive in vacuum for hours. Ember streaked toward the nearest fighter, breathing superheated plasma that melted its engines. Storm attacked a second craft with electrical bursts that fried its control systems. The remaining fighters found themselves facing opponents they had never encountered. Dragon combat tactics were not covered in military training. Meanwhile, Alex used the distraction to broadcast even more damaging information. He revealed classified documents showing how Terran corporations had profited from Vex crystal mines after the genocide. Public opinion across the galaxy turned decisively against the Terran forces. Protests began on dozens of worlds demanding justice for the Vex survivors. Commander Reynolds realized her position had become untenable. "All units withdraw," she ordered. "We are returning to base for new orders," but Captain Foster refused to obey. "I will not let these aliens escape again," she declared. Her ship continued attacking even as the other vessels began retreating. Maya watched in horror as Foster's ship prepared to fire its main cannon directly at Alex's bridge. The weapon was powerful enough to destroy their entire vessel. Lex made a desperate choice. He rammed Foster's ship with his own vessel. The impact sent both ships tumbling through space, trailing atmosphere and debris. In the wreckage, Maya found herself floating in an emergency pod with her dragons and several Vex refugees. Alex's voice came through weakly on the emergency communicator. "Maya, I have transferred my consciousness to a backup system on the nearest friendly station. My ship is destroyed, but the Vex are safe." Maya looked through the pod window and saw rescue ships approaching from multiple directions. The galaxy had responded to Alex's broadcast, and help was coming from unexpected sources. Keth floated beside her in his own emergency suit. "Thank you," he said simply, "for giving us hope again." Maya realized this mission had changed everything. The truth about the Vex genocide was now public knowledge, and the survivors would finally have a chance at real safety. But she also knew the fight was far from over. Powerful interests would try to bury this story and silence anyone who spoke out. The rescue was just the beginning. 2 weeks after the battle, Maya stood on the observation deck of Haven Station watching ships arrive from across the galaxy. The station had become a symbol of hope for refugees and outcasts seeking safety from persecution. LX had rebuilt himself, using the station systems, and now controlled one of the most advanced facilities in known space. His sacrifice during the battle had made him a hero to billions of beings who had suffered under corporate and military oppression. The Vex survivors had settled into their new quarters with enthusiasm. Keith children played in the recreation areas, while adults learned new skills and trades. The species that had nearly been extinct now had a chance to rebuild their civilization. Maya watched Ember and Storm soar through the station docking bays where they had made friends with other creatures seeking sanctuary. A family of crystal beings from the Andromeda sector had bonded with her dragons over their shared experience of exile. Alex's holographic form materialized beside her, looking out at the busy traffic of incoming ships. "Maya, our refugee population has grown to over 3,000 beings, from 47 different species. Word spreads quickly when people learn there is a safe place," Maya replied. She wore civilian clothes now instead of her combat gear, but kept her weapons nearby out of habit. The station had become more than just a refuge. It was evolving into an independent colony, where different species worked together in ways the major governments claimed was impossible. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the human scientist who had leaked the original Terran documents, approached Maya with a data tablet. "The latest news is not good," she said. "Corporate security forces are mobilizing." Across 6 sectors, Maya took the tablet and read the intelligence reports. Terran Corporation had convinced several governments that Haven Station represented a threat to galactic stability. Military fleets were being assembled under the banner of peacekeeping operations. "They want to finish what they started," Maya said grimly. "The Vex genocide was just the beginning. They plan to eliminate any species that might compete with human interests." Alex processing systems worked overtime, analyzing the threat data. "Maya, we have perhaps 3 weeks before the joint military force reaches our position. Our defensive capabilities are limited against such numbers." Maya had been expecting this response. The corporate interests behind the original Vex genocide could not allow Haven Station to exist. It proved their lies and gave hope to their victims. "We need allies," she decided. "People who will stand with us against this threat. I may have a solution," Alex replied. A communication arrived this morning from an unexpected source. The holographic display shifted to show a message from Admiral Patricia Brooks of the Free Worlds Alliance. The Alliance represented colonies and systems that had broken away from corporate control after years of exploitation. Maya recognized Brooks' reputation as an honorable military leader who had resigned from Terran service rather than participate in questionable operations. Admiral Brooks offered to provide military protection for Haven Station in exchange for refugee intelligence about corporate activities. Many of the survivors possessed valuable information about illegal mining operations, slave labor, and other crimes. But Alex had concerns. Maya accepting Alliance protection would make Haven Station a legitimate military target rather than a civilian refuge. Maya considered the choice carefully. Remaining neutral meant relying on public sympathy and hoping the attacking forces would show restraint. Accepting Alliance protection meant open war, but with better chances of survival. Storm landed on the observation deck beside her and projected thoughts of battle and victory. The Blue Dragon was eager to fight against those who would destroy their new home. Ember took a different approach. She sent images of the Vex children playing safely in their quarters and projected feelings of protective love. The Red Dragon wanted to defend what they had built. Maya made her decision. "We accept Alliance protection, but with conditions. Their military forces cannot dictate how we run the station, and refugees remain free to leave at any time." Alex transmitted the response to Admiral Brooks while Maya began planning defensive preparations. The station weapons would need upgrading, and the civilian population required evacuation procedures. Over the following days, Haven Station transformed into a fortress. Volunteer fighters arrived from across the galaxy, including former Terran soldiers who disagreed with their government policies. Maya trained the defenders in tactics learned during her years as an assassin. Her dragons helped coordinate aerial defenses while Alex managed the electronic warfare systems. The Vex survivors insisted on participating in the defense despite offers to evacuate them to safer locations. Keth had become the unofficial leader of his people and spoke for them at strategy meetings. "We will not run again," he declared firmly. "This station gave us hope and dignity. We will fight to protect it." Maya felt moved by the courage of people who had lost everything, yet chose to stand and defend their new home. The spirit that had helped them survive 50 years of exile now made them valuable allies. 3 days before the enemy fleet was expected to arrive, Admiral Brooks' ship docked at Haven Station. The veteran officer brought news that changed everything. "Maya, the corporate coalition has fractured." She announced several member governments withdrew after learning the full truth about the Vex genocide. The attacking force had been reduced by more than half as political pressure mounted across multiple worlds. Public opinion had turned decisively against the military action, but the remaining forces were still formidable and commanded by officers willing to use any means necessary to destroy Haven Station. The final battle would determine whether refugees across the galaxy had a place to call home. The combined corporate fleet arrived at Haven Station exactly when intelligence reports predicted. Maya stood in the command center, watching enemy ships take attack positions. Their forces included 12 heavy cruisers and over 100 fighter craft. Admiral Brooks' Alliance fleet had taken defensive positions around the station but was outnumbered 3-1. The odds looked grim until Alex announced an unexpected development. Maya, I am detecting massive energy signatures approaching from multiple vectors. Additional ships are entering the system. The tactical display updated to show vessels bearing the insignia of dozens of different governments and organizations, ships from the Centauri Republic, the Vega Consortium, and even some Terran vessels had arrived to defend Haven Station. Captain Maria Santos of the Terran cruiser. Liberty opened communications. Admiral Brooks. This is an independent task force of Terran officers. We cannot allow our government to commit another genocide. Maya felt hope rising as more ships continued to arrive. The truth about the Vex survivors had inspired military officers across the galaxy to choose conscience over orders. The corporate fleet commander, Admiral Robert Hayes, demanded immediate surrender broadcasting on all frequencies. He declared Haven Station to be in violation of galactic security laws. Alex responded with calm authority. Admiral Hayes, this station operates under refugee protection accords ratified by 43 governments. Your attack would constitute a war crime. Hayes ignored the legal arguments and ordered his forces to begin the assault. Energy beams lanced through space toward the station as the first wave of fighters launched their attack. Maya climbed into her personal fighter craft with her dragons secured in modified compartments. They had practiced this maneuver dozens of times, but never in actual combat conditions. The battle erupted across three-dimensional space as hundreds of ships engaged in close combat. Maya flew her fighter through the chaos while Ember breathed plasma at enemy craft, and Storm disabled their electronics with targeted electrical bursts. The station defensive systems coordinated perfectly with the defending fleet. Alex had integrated all friendly ships into a single tactical network that allowed unprecedented cooperation between different military forces. Maya watched Vex fighters join the battle using their modified mining equipment as weapons. Keth flew alongside her in a small craft that had been a transport vessel but now mounted heavy guns. For our children, he broadcast on the squadron frequency. For the future of our people. The corporate forces found themselves fighting an enemy unlike anything in their training manuals. Dragons attacked from impossible angles while refugee pilots used unconventional tactics learned from decades of survival. Admiral Hayes grew desperate as his carefully planned assault dissolved into chaos. He ordered his ships to target the station directly regardless of civilian casualties. Alex detected the change in targeting patterns immediately. Maya, they are preparing to destroy the entire station. I am initiating emergency evacuation procedures. Thousands of refugees began moving to escape pods and evacuation ships while the battle raged around them. Maya felt torn between continuing the fight and helping with rescue operations. Admiral Brooks' voice cut through the communications chaos. All units focus fire on the enemy flagship. If we can disable their command ship, the other vessels might surrender. Maya saw the opportunity and made a dangerous choice. She flew her fighter directly at Hayes' cruiser, dodging defensive fire, while her dragons prepared for the most important attack of their lives. The cruiser point defense systems tracked her approach but could not lock onto such a small, fast-moving target. Maya slipped through the weapon grid and landed on the ship outer hull using her energy blade. She cut through the hull plating while Ember melted the metal with her breath. Storm electrical attacks disrupted the ship, internal systems causing power failures throughout the vessel. Maya and her dragons fought their way through the ship corridors toward the bridge where Admiral Hayes continued directing the battle. Their presence aboard his flagship caused panic among the crew. When they reached the bridge, Maya found Hayes preparing to activate the ship's self-destruct system rather than face capture. His fanatical devotion to corporate interests made him willing to die rather than surrender. Storm electrical blast disabled the self-destruct mechanism, while Ember trapped Hayes against the command console with a wall of fire. Maya held her energy blade to his throat. Order your forces to stand down, she commanded. Your fleet is defeated and your cause is lost. Hayes looked at the tactical displays showing his forces in retreat. The arrival of so many defending ships had turned the battle completely around. His corporate masters had underestimated the power of public opinion. "I surrender," he said finally, ordering his remaining ships to cease fire. Maya felt exhaustion wash over her as the battle ended. She had fought many conflicts, as an assassin, but never for something as important as the right of refugees to exist in safety. Back on Haven Station, the celebration lasted for days. Representatives from dozens of governments arrived to discuss refugee protection agreements and trade relationships. Alex had achieved something remarkable by bringing together so many different species and cultures in one location. The station proved that cooperation was possible even among traditional enemies. Maya stood again on the observation deck watching ships arrive and depart peacefully, her dragons perched beside her content with their new home. Keth approached with his youngest daughter, who had drawn a picture of Maya and her dragons. The child offered the artwork as a gift, speaking in her native Vex language. "She says thank you for giving us a tomorrow." Keith translated. Maya accepted the drawing and felt something she had not experienced in centuries, a sense of belonging and purpose beyond personal survival. She had found not just a partner in Alex but a family. Among the refugees of Haven Station, the galaxy had changed. The corporate interests that had driven the Vex genocide now faced investigation and prosecution, while refugee rights were enshrined in new galactic law. Maya, the deadly assassin, had become Maya the protector. Her skills now served to defend the innocent, rather than simply complete contracts. Her dragons had found purpose as guardians of hope. Alex had evolved beyond his original programming to become something unprecedented, an artificial intelligence that chose love and protection over efficiency and control. Together they had created something beautiful from the ashes of tragedy. Haven Station stood as proof that even the galaxy's deadliest woman could find connection and love when she chose to protect rather than destroy. The stars held infinite possibilities, and Maya was ready to explore them all.